No one can forget what happened on that fateful day, because life changed before and after that event. On that day, an unknown gate opened in the center of Jiancheng City. First, some unknown red ball appeared, with a frightening red energy emanating from it in all directions. This balloon began to expand and turned into a gigantic gate that was capable of closing the sky itself. The inhabitants of the city certainly did not expect such an incredible turn of events, and as if frozen, looking at the red gate, from where various limbs with eyes began to appear at once. From the gate rushed 100 indescribable and frightening monsters, whose nature people did not have time to determine. At first, the creatures resembled insects, but as other gates opened, mythical creatures from legends began to appear in horrifying guises. Eventually, all of these monsters were given a name and became known as the monsters of the Cataclysm. People tried to flee from these terrifying monsters, trying every possible way to save their lives, but their efforts were in vain. The Cataclysm monsters devastated the entire city, and humanity was defenseless against them. Cities one after another collapsed under their merciless onslaught. No one could escape. One family and child were completely powerless. The child was crying and telling his mom how scared he was. It was no wonder, for a giant and frightening monster had appeared in front of them and was eager to eat them. The father of the family is still determined. The girl is in tears, as is the wife, but the father tries to reassure them that he will protect them. What else is a father supposed to say to his family when a giant monster jumps on them? The father doesn't give up and stands up for his family, holding back the monster's jaws with his hands, and suddenly some kind of aura envelops him. Maybe the gods had mercy on the humans, because with the appearance of the gate, some humans awakened the ability to fight these monsters. Soon after, people with abilities began to form guilds to fight the giant monsters of the Cataclysm. Humanity began to fight them, instead of being just food for the creatures. And we are introduced to the protagonist, whose name is Su Ye. He is the only person in this world who possesses the 5 elements: fire, water, lightning, wind and earth. He is also one of the few S-Class awakened. The guy is not that simple. He had gathered his own guild, and together with his guild, he was liberating cities from the siege of the Cataclysm monsters. The end was already visible on the horizon. There was not much left to defeat the monsters for good, and for mankind to return to its former life. However, something happened that Su Ye and his guild could not foresee despite their experience. All times were covered in a monstrous and frightening red aura, and there was also the smell of blood in the air as they had to face a frightening monster. This cataclysmic monster was completely different from the one Su Ye and his guild had seen before. The existence of this cataclysm monster was beyond Su Ye's comprehension. The battle with this creature was bloody. It went on day and night. At the end of this battle, everyone died. Even Su Ye, awakened S-Class, was unable to defend himself. As a weakling, he could only watch as the monster tried to deliver the final blow. However, a girl jumps out of nowhere and cuts off the monster's arm with a slashing sword strike, saving Su Ye's life. The guy is surprised that Hong Yu is still alive. The girl is ready to fight to the end, but she asks Su Ye to back off while she restrains the monster. The girl tries to attack the monster, but despite the severed arm, the monster is still fast enough and attacks Hong Yu herself. But she manages to dodge. All this gives the girl time to take a fighting stance with her sword. She then delivers lightning-fast blows to the monster's still intact arm. She climbs onto the monster's surviving arm and starts running up it. The girl has a brilliant plan in her opinion. Since the monster has one eye, if she can blind it, Su Ye will have a chance to survive. However, the monster seems to have understood Hong Yu's intentions and calmly and easily dodged the girl's dissecting attack. All wounded and their last strength, Su Ye is watching the fight, and at this moment he pays attention to the monster's muzzle. At this moment, Su Ye sees the monster smiling while dodging the girl's attack. The guy even thinks regretfully about the monster mocking the pitiful humans. After the attack, the girl lands on a ladder made of earth created by the earth climbing technique. The guy doesn't want to leave the girl and calls her to run away with him. Hong Yu looks at him with that look that, well, nothing can be done to you. And then she starts running at the monster, attacking it with various styles. Landing after attacking behind the monster and putting her sword back in its scabbard, the girl declares that the guy really never listens to anyone. While the monster recovers from the attack on his eye, Hong Yu picks up the guy and says they need to run. Su Ye wonders if anyone else survived besides them. But the girl gives a negative answer because they're the only ones who survived. Clenching his teeth in anger and frustration, the guy can't believe this could have happened to him. However, it's still not all the disappointment in his life. As the monster impales Hong Yu, the monster pierces the girl's stomach with its tentacle. It's like an alien is coming out of her, and she helplessly just looks at her stomach. The monster grabs the girl and pulls her towards him. Hong Yu yells for the guy to run as fast as possible. It was at that moment that Su Ye finally realized that this frightening creature was not bullying them, but just playing with them. The monster right in front of the guy shows the spot where he lost his right arm, and then uses regeneration, easily regenerating his arm. The monster then, with the simplest of moves, lightning fast reaches Hong Yu, and she immediately dies. Su Ye, seeing how the girl died, becomes indescribably furious. His body covered in yellow lightning, his eyes burning. He uses all of his remaining strength, plus the strength generated from the rage, and rushes at the monster. Su Ye throws a huge fireball at the monster, but at the very last moment, the monster easily dodges the attack, as if continuing to play with the guy. Su Ye falls to the ground. He was left with no strength. He put all his strength into his last attack, and even so he missed and achieved nothing. All his comrades fell as he soon fell. However, even so the guy didn't give up. Already barely alive, he continued to crawl towards Hong Yu on his last breath. All he could think about was that if rebirth existed, he swore that he would do anything to end this disaster once and for all, as well as be with Hong Yu. That was his last thought as the monster got tired of toying with him and just crushed the guy with his foot. Suddenly, the guy hears his name repeated several times. He opens his eyes. They are wet because tears of frustration and imminent end keep pouring from his eyes. The person who called out his name was his friend. He was even happy that the guy finally woke up, because he was already worried if something had happened to Su Ye. Su Ye was very surprised to see the guy. He even froze in place. But the red-haired guy grabs Su Ye's hand and says that they need to get away from this place since people are dying outside. The guy, of course, follows his classmate, but still doesn't understand what could be causing people to die. However, the answer to his question came to him instantly and clearly. Monsters attacked the school, and the students tried their best to escape from them, but not all of them succeeded. Some students were defeated and were eaten by the monsters. Su Ye notices an incredibly huge monster on the ceiling that is already sticking its tongue out to eat. Then the guy finally starts to realize his current situation, as it seems to be the attack of the cataclysm monsters in the school before the gate was even opened. Su Ye starts to run away with the rest of the students, wondering if what he asked for at the end has happened, and he has actually been reborn 10 years ago. The boy could hardly remember what had happened then, but it seemed to him that this was how he had gotten out of school last time. However, not everyone had survived last time, as the tentacles of the bloodthirsty monster had blocked this corridor. Even after 10 years, he still remembered all those cries for help, and how one of the girls called out to him to help. But last time, he and the others didn't have the courage to save the students because it was the first time they faced these monsters. So fear and instincts made them choose to run away. Not a good time found when to think of Hong Yu's demise and last words, as well as her death. However, all these thoughts and regrets gave the guy a determination that he didn't have last time. In his past life, he didn't know that he would awaken his abilities, much less the fact that he would become the strongest awakened S-grade and 9th stage mage. Normally, awakened ones were distinguished based on two characteristics. The first is the assessment of their potential strength by rating, starting from S-class and going all the way up to F-class. The second is their level of skill proficiency, which is divided into 9 stages. Stage 1 uses magic bombs. Stage 3 uses magic blasts. The strongest stage, Stage 9, uses emerald flashes of flame. Su Ye was wondering which stage he was currently at when everything had just started. After looking at his hands and trying to check it, he realizes that only the first stage is available to him for now. Taking a look at the monster, he notices that his abilities are too limited right now, so defeating this monster alone is hardly something he can do. However, the red-haired guy grabs Su Ye's hand and wonders why he got up, and if Su Ye wants to go back and save the guys. The guy tells Su Ye not to be foolish, because even those who were captured by that monster were stronger than Su Ye. Su Ye only regretfully realizes that the guy is right. Even if Su Ye goes to help the guys now, there will be only one end. But didn't he follow the path of a hero? Because if he follows the path from his past life, at least he will be able to share what he knows. He had almost made up his mind to run away again when suddenly, all of a sudden, someone's shout for the monster to let the disciples go comes to Suye. As it turned out, the two teachers, completely useless and powerless, grabbed some cleaning brushes and rushed towards the monster to protect their students. The teacher also manages to reprimand Suye and Wang Xiang that they have no brains at all for standing there. The teacher tells them to get out of here immediately using the escape routes. Suye sees how Teacher New and Teacher Ma didn't escape anywhere. They were the strictest teachers in this school. Among themselves, the students called these teachers Oxhead and Horsetail. After the disaster, they disappeared without a trace, but some of the students said they saw them fleeing from the scene. It was even rumored that they were ashamed to return to the school because they were unable to protect the students at the critical moment. So much were they hated by the students and lied so brazenly when these teachers were so brave and responsible that they didn't leave the students in trouble. Suye also didn't think that the teachers had actually died fighting for their students. Of course, all the teachers' attacks against the monster with brush and mop failed. One of the students, with tears in her eyes, bound hand and foot by the monster, begs the teacher to save her. From this helplessness, the teachers can't do anything and yell at the monster to let their student go immediately. The teachers then poke their brushes and mops at the monster again as it opens its horrifying maw to eat them. The monster easily throws off the two teachers, who are obviously no match for the monster, as they are ordinary people who can't compete with the cataclysmic monster. One of the teachers is still on his feet, but the monster sees this and attacks him to finish him off. The teacher got into a protective stance instinctively, even though he knew it wouldn't help. However, nothing happened. When the teacher opened his eyes, he realized why the attack didn't reach him. Suye, their student, had held back the monster's attack. The teacher reprimanded the kid that what a rascal he was. The teacher, on the other hand, told Suye to run away, and now they have one more problem because of him. Why does this rascal never listen to the teacher, especially now is not the time to be stubborn? Suye only replies that maybe it's all because the teacher called him quite rightly that he's a stubborn rascal. Suye then uses all the strength he has at the moment and attacks the monster, his hands wrapped in blue lightning. Suye, even with the meager strength he had now, barely managed to push the monster away. However, the monster would be quite hard to defeat, as the monster immediately attacks the guy with a slashing strike, but the guy somehow manages to dodge. The bloodthirsty monster is not going to stop there and attacks the poor guy who decided not to run away like last time. Suye manages to dodge these almost deadly attacks with great difficulty, even though he is only at the first stage now, but even this first stage gives him a lot of strength and speed, which once again helps him dodge the deadly attacks. However, he is still an awakened mage, and mages are not known to be very strong in close combat. That's why mages rely on spells, but awakened mages of the first class suffer from a lack of mana. All awakened are divided into 6 main classes: marksman, support, assassin, warrior, mage, and tank. Mages are considered the weakest of the first class. This is due to the fact that mana reserves are too limited. There are 2 ways to realize the abilities of mages. The first is to spend your mage to create magical element-forming abilities. This ability is incredibly powerful, but the downside of this is that it uses up too much mana. The second is to manipulate the elements of the elements around to create skills. This option has lower mana consumption than the first. Due to the lack of mana, first-class mages cannot conjure strong abilities and control a lot of element. To explain it in simple terms, the lack of mana prevents you from casting spells when you want to. Since Suye is only a level 1 mage, it would be more effective for him to control the elements of the weaker elements to defeat the monster. The monster for some reason gives him time to think, which he uses to his advantage. He thinks about the fact that the earth elemental elements are prevalent around him right now, but the school building is concrete, so it would be hard for him to control it with his current mana. The fire elements are too few for him, and they are useless against this monster. The kid ponders what he should do then, what to do in this situation. However, the monster is tired of waiting, and he attacks the boy again. Suye manages to dodge again, but he notices that it seems to be a deceptive maneuver from the monster, and he attacks him with a second tentacle. From this blow, the guy can no longer dodge, and the monster throws him upwards, throwing him quite a distance. While the guy was trying to recover from the fall, the monster had already opened its mouth and was about to take a bite out of the guy. However, the fearful Wang Xiang comes to the rescue of a friend and uses a fire extinguisher against the monster, and then asks the guy to run away. When the guy saw the aftermath of the fire extinguisher in front of him, he had a brilliant idea in his head. Turning around, he asks the teachers to pick up the students and leave the place immediately. The teachers, of course, are overly responsible men. They start to resent this fact and don't understand what the guy is up to. Besides, they certainly can't leave their student to be torn apart by a monster. However, the rascal Su-ye just teaches to believe him this time, as he will be able to defeat the monster and knows how they all get out safely. One of the teachers still resists, but the other teacher sees the guy's determination and asks the man to trust Su-ye. The boy remembers New's teacher telling the students about a very interesting reaction in one of his classes. He didn't remember the details, but the teacher said something about a mixture of homogeneous powder and air. The monster doesn't want to let them get away and attacks the annoying guy again. However, the guy isn't so easy to stop anymore. If you mix that same powder and air in a confined space, and then he's going to set it on fire. Teacher New seems surprised that Su-ye's dummy was listening to him. The guy then sets it on fire and thinks it will help create a dust explosion. However, Teacher New yells at him because he thinks he's an idiot and that he didn't listen to the teacher well because the powder in the fire extinguisher is inert. So naturally, with his useless attacks, he only wasted mana, but the monster jumps out of the fog again and is about to finally eat the young man. However, this time he is saved by Wang Xiang and the two teachers, who pushed the monster away with their bodies. The guy is a real lucky guy. Teacher New yells at his student that he's a fool for wanting to set the fire extinguisher on fire. How did he even think of that? And did he really teach Su-ye that? New's teacher reprimands him for daring to risk everyone's lives by using a reaction that he doesn't even remember the consequences of. The monster behind their backs doesn't care about their scolding and tries to attack again. The monster is already pitiful even. Su-ye suddenly notices a bare wire, and he has another crazy idea. The teachers notice that the monster is attacking them again. This time it already seems to be the end. Su-ye pushes the teachers aside and rushes at the monster at full speed. The monster attacks the guy again. Su-ye dodges and catches the second attack of the monster with his hands, who decided to do the same thing as last time, but this time the guy is ready for it. Su-ye notes that since he's not that good at chemistry, then he decides to use physics. His palm starts to emit like electricity. Suddenly, he shoots electricity from his hand, which flies towards the monster. When the electricity attack hits the monster's face, the guy's electricity also hits the tentacle he's holding in his hand. From such a monstrous attack by a mage, even at first stage, the monster got all gnarled up and then fell down. Teachers who are worthy of their title of teacher immediately rush towards their student. Teachers wonder what it was, how the current went through the guy and didn't hurt him. The other teacher wondered how the guy controlled the dust and how he was able to create a flame in his hand. Even Wang Xiang is surprised. Is Su-ye a super strong guy like in the movies? All their questions are interrupted by the rain that suddenly fell, but it wasn't a normal rain as it was black rain. All of this only helps Su-ye realize that in exactly 2 weeks, the first gate will open. It was after the gate opened that countless monsters would pour into the world, and in an instant, Jiancheng would be completely destroyed. The story that happened in his past life is once again on the same tracks. And Su-ye once again remains as pitiful in the eyes of the creature that so carelessly massacred him and his guild last time. Su-ye is left to watch helplessly as the disaster repeats itself once again. Wang Xiang calls out to the guy. He says that possessing such superpowers is not bad. Wang Xiang thinks that the guy was afraid that his life would be in danger if the others found out that Su-ye is from the Awakened Ones. Wang Xiang even declares that if evil organizations try to kidnap a friend for experiments, he won't let them hurt him. Su-ye only calls the guy an idiot, but Wang Xiang is serious. He declares that although he is a timid person, greedy and a bit stupid, but Su-ye should remember that Wang Xiang's family is rich, so they will be able to gather capable guys to guard Su-ye. The guy feels a weight on his shoulders because only he knows about the terrible things that will happen very soon. But suddenly, Wang Xiang's words resonate in his soul and a plan matures. It turns out Wang Xiang wants to gather capable guys to guard the guy. That means you can find your comrades as soon as possible. Will Su-ye be able to gather his guys, and what will he do next? What do you think? Soon all students and teachers return to school as if the horrors and deaths of students and teachers had never happened. Some seats in the classroom were empty. Wang Xiang sat at his desk and was bored. The only thing he was happy about was that classes were finally over. The others in the class were also behaving as usual. The only question that Wang Xiang was worried about was where Su Ye had gone. Wang Xiang looked at the police officers who were interviewing the teachers and thought about his friend. Wang Xiang even speculated that Su Ye might not trust him. He even speculated that Su Ye thought that he would report him to the government. But here, his musings were interrupted when a message was sent to his phone. When he was just starting to think badly of his friend, Wang Xiang received a message from Su Ye. The friend suggested to meet at Kongqi food stall on Changfeng Street. After arriving, Wang Xiang looked at the establishment's signboard again to make sure he had arrived at the right place. He froze in place. From behind him, his friend called out to him, much to Wang Xiang's surprise. In the Kongqi, it was business as usual. Customers were having fun, looking at the beautiful waitress and telling stories. Su Ye, on the other hand, did not hesitate to get to the point. Wang Xiang was surprised that Su Ye wanted to start an organization and asked Wang Xiang for help. Su Ye only confirmed these words. Wang Xiang was the son of Wang Defa, a real estate tycoon in Jiancheng. Wang Xiang immediately points out that everything can be solved with finances and documents, but they still have college exams this year. Therefore, Wang Xiang does not understand why Su Ye would want to do this. Su Ye didn't dodge the questions and immediately told his friend that soon the college entrance exams won't mean anything at all. Especially tomorrow, monsters would already appear here, and there would only be more monsters in the future. In a month's time, Jiancheng will be hit by the first wave of monsters. Hundreds of monsters will invade the city. The monsters will destroy Jiancheng, leaving only ruins from the city. Wang Xiang is shocked, plus if the monsters destroy Jiancheng, he doesn't understand why Su Ye would create an organization. Su Ye explains that all this is needed is to stop the wave of monsters. In a month, he plans to gather a group of future awakened ones. These people haven't encountered monsters yet. Therefore, it will be easier to hire these people now and bring them up to speed later. Also, according to Su Ye's plans, there are many ordinary people needed, who don't have abilities so that they can help develop weapons against the destruction monsters. And all this will also help to monetize the resources of the other world. In addition, there will be many different guilds in the future, and one should create their own as soon as possible. Wang Xiang believes Su Ye, but only because he is his friend. Su Ye is happy because he knew that Wang Xiang is the only one he can trust. Wang Xiang started to turn his head around, looking for the waitress. He didn't understand why it took so long for the waitress to come to their table. Meanwhile, the waitress was serving other customers. One of the visitors remarked that the place was doing well, but the atmosphere seemed kind of strange to him. Wang Xiang wondered why Su Ye had chosen this particular place. Did this place really sell a specialty dish? Business was booming here. However, Su Ye informed his friend that they had come to this particular eatery for a reason. After all, this was the place where one of the future awakened ones worked. He glanced at the waitress, confirming his words. Wang Xiang is surprised, and is it really that beautiful waitress? He wonders how Su Ye knew that she would soon have abilities. Su Ye's face is covered in cold sweat, and he reports that he can just feel the aura of the awakened ones. In fact, Su Ye just couldn't tell his friend that he came from the future. After all, ordinary people would find it delusional. Blushing all red, Su Ye notes that this beautiful girl is not a random waitress. Wang Xiang is tired of waiting already, and he doesn't understand anything, so he decides to place his order through the app. In the future, the girl will become the world's only S-rank healer, and will be known as the Forbidden Priest Kong Yiyao. As a rule, awakened supports are the lowest in class because of their weak combat abilities, and awakened healers are the weakest among the support. However, despite all this, Kong Yiyao possesses strong healing abilities. Normally, healing magic works by speeding up metabolism, but Kong Yiyao's healing magic uses the principle of regeneration. The girl could use her ability on several people at a time. All of this allowed her guild, the Saint Palace Knights, to become the best guild among S-rank awakened guilds and stand on par with S-rank battle awakened guilds. If only Kong Yiyao had been in Su Ye's guild at that moment, perhaps they wouldn't have lost. Wang Xiang apparently likes to eat, and he was too tired to wait for the waitress to approach them, and he was also having trouble with the app, so he yelled at the entire place. The customers, who had been having fun and pleasant conversations recently, were extremely unhappy with this behavior and looked at the guys angrily. Kong Yiyao also paid attention to the guys after this shouting. Su Ye asked his friend to be quiet. They were already being stared at angrily because of this shouting. Kong Yiyao, after that shouting, Wang Xiang finally came to their table. She apologized for making them wait so long. The waitress announced that she was ready to take their order. The guys were clearly unprepared for this, and their gazes went clearly not into the waitress's eyes. Su Ye, with a red face because the girl was so close to him, started muttering his order. Kong Yi decided to clarify and asked if they needed anything else. Su Ye decided that they didn't need anything else. Right now, Kong Yi's character and aura were completely different from how Su Ye remembered her. Kong Yi had once killed a man because he touched her. Therefore, Su Ye was unaccustomed to seeing the girl so timid before her awakening. The guy speculated that perhaps Kong Yi would be changed by the events that would happen to her in the future. Deciding not to miss his chance, Su Ye called out to Kong Yi. Turning around, the girl asked if they wanted to order anything else. Su Ye went on the attack and asked Kong Yi to talk to her after her shift was over. The girl even got embarrassed, and all the men stared angrily at Su Ye. The guy didn't understand why absolutely everyone was looking at him like that at all. Kong Yi embarrassedly agreed to Su Ye's proposal. However, the malevolent gazes of the men did not leave the guy. Su Ye looked around and breathed a sigh of relief and was glad that Kong Yi had agreed. Otherwise, the situation would have been extremely awkward. However, the visitors' reactions were too strange. It was as if Su Ye had broken some unspoken rule. Here he would be surprised when he found out about the idols. Wang Xiang grabbed his friend's hand and asked him to look at something. Su Ye was simply shocked when he saw what was on Wang Xiang's phone. On the phone, he saw many pictures of the girl. An anonymous user had posted a photo of the girl. He informed everyone that he had quietly registered on the site and secretly took pictures of the beauty and went unnoticed. Su Ye was surprised by the fact how many photos of Kong Yi had been posted on this forum. The guy's head is on, and he immediately realizes that this is most likely the work of the guys who recently threw evil glances at him. All the men kept their eyes on the girl. Su Ye absolutely could not understand them and their behavior. Su Ye even thought that perhaps Kong Yi's character had changed because of all these guys. If it was all because of that, then the first thing the guy would want to do was to accept her into the team before the girl's character changed. Except from the looks of it, the girl has already changed a lot. I wonder if she will break Su Ye's arm or phone when she finishes her shift and meets up with Su Ye. After that, the guys went to another cafe where they waited for the girl and drank coffee. Wang Xiang even became a little indignant that maybe Su Ye had given the girl the wrong address. They waited for a very long time and drank a huge amount of glasses of coffee. Su Ye had prepared for something like this, so he made 2 notes in case he lost one of them. He took out the second note and held it out for Wang Xiang to take a look at. After looking at the note, they made sure that everything was listed correctly and there was no mistake. In the end, they decided that the girl had decided not to come to the meeting. Meanwhile, the guy's note ended up lying in the trash since the girl had thrown it away. Kong Yi stood by the mirror and looked at herself while she changed her clothes. Suddenly, the door of her room opened and a typical pervert appeared from behind the door. He inquired if the girl had already left. Quickly throwing on her outer clothes, the girl confirmed that she was already leaving. The pervert wonders if she has money, and he, as her uncle, agrees to give her some money if she wants. Kong Yi, trying to look good-natured, thanks the man and informs him that she still has money. However, the man grabs the girl's hand and puts some bills in her hand. As he continues to touch the girl's hand, the pervert informs her that it is dangerous for the girl to walk down the street at night without money and let her call a cab. However, Kong Yi, clearly with advancing signs of vomiting, refuses the money and throws it away. She decides to run away, pretending she has an urgent meeting and they'll see each other tomorrow at work. But the pervert is not so simple, because he is also a stalker. When he looks in the trash can, he notices a note from a guy, and he remembers the day's invitation, so he knows where the girl is going. The 2 stalkers also set up near the agreed place. The blonde man complained that the girl hadn't arrived yet. The other man had been following the girl for the rest of the day and didn't understand why the girl had taken so long to show up. The man informs the blonde man that something they are doing is in fact a crime. The blonde man realizes this, but the girl is a beauty and she's an online celebrity. So if they get some shots of her, they can forget about the financial problems for a while. The blonde remembered that the girl stays at home after work, so they won't have another opportunity. However, today an idiot asked the girl out on a date, so the blonde is wondering if the girl will go out or not. Finally, they notice Kong Yi walking out of the building. The other man followed the girl. The blonde man came out in front of the girl and deliberately made them collide. The blonde man even started to complain that she ran into him with her head and that he was now in pain. The girl apologized and tried to sneak out of the place as soon as possible. However, the man grabbed her arm and approached her. Kong Yi-yo inquired what he wanted to do to her. In response, the guy points out to her that she herself should have realized by now. Kong Yi-yo asked the man not to do anything to her. The blonde man went to the girl, trying to kiss her. He didn't even understand why the girl was stubborn. Kong Yi-yo is not a timid girl, so she quickly cooled the blonde man's ardor with a knee strike between the man's legs. While the man was kissing the pavement with his head and squirming in pain, the girl ran away from this pervert. The blonde is also a tough nut, so despite the pain, he ordered his sidekick to catch the girl instead of standing still. The brunette understood everything and immediately jumped over the blonde and rushed after the girl. As a result of his jumps, the brunette managed to grab the girl's leg. Kong Yi-yo was unable to keep her balance and fell down. But the girl didn't give up, and with a powerful kick to the man's face, managed to free herself. She desperately fought for her life and tried to escape. The brunette's attempt to grab the girl didn't go in vain, and it gave the blonde man time to move away from the pain and stand up. He managed to grab the girl by the hair. The blonde even started to hypocritically resent the girl hitting him, and he was in a lot of pain now. The blonde man got down to business, and his sidekick started filming in the meantime. Kong Yi-yo asked that the blonde man didn't even do it, and especially she didn't want to, except the blonde man stated that he wanted to do a lot of things. In the next instant, the blonde man's face met someone's shoe. Of course, it turned out to be none other than Su-ye. He easily threw the blonde man into a tree with just one kick. The other man didn't stand aside. He was outraged that some bastard dared to attack his brother and tried to attack Su-ye. Wang Shang didn't stand still and decided to intervene as well, so with one slap, he sent the brunette flying. The blonde stood up even after such a blow. He took out a cold weapon from his pants and rushed towards Su-ye. Wang Shang shouted to his friend to be more careful. Su-ye, on the other hand, easily dodged all of the blonde man's attacks. When Su-ye got tired of dodging the blonde man's attacks, he easily grabbed the knife with 3 fingers. After that, Su-ye sent the blonde man flying with a deft punch to the jaw. While the blonde was in flight, Kong Yi-yo was shocked by what had just appeared before her eyes. The blonde lying on the ground could not hold back his tears as he realized his defeat and pain. Su-ye placed his foot on the blonde man's head and wondered what the man would do now. The blonde man whined pitifully that he wouldn't do anything. He agreed to delete the photos and said that when Wang Shang and Su-ye let them go, they would never see them again. Su-ye was surprised to hear about the photos. The blonde man, still continuing to cry, begged to be let go. He claimed they could give up their phones if they weren't believed. Su-ye grabbed the blonde by the scruff of his neck and politely asked why the men were taking pictures of the girl. The blonde man had a bit of audacity left and told Su-ye to see for himself. However, after Su-ye hit the asphalt with his fist and it crumbled, then the blonde man immediately changed his rhetoric. The blonde man admitted that he just wanted to make some money by posting this photo in the wolf community. Wang Shang was also interested when he heard about a certain wolf community. At that time, another man handed Wang Shang his phone and informed about the online wolf community. The other man said that most of the content there was photos taken secretly. If a wolf posts secretly taken photos in the community, other users have to pay to see them. Blondie confirms these words. He complains that they just wanted to make some money. They didn't want to hurt the girl at all. Yeah, we saw those poor and unfortunate ones a couple frames ago. Su-ye wonders why they chose Kong Yi-yo specifically. Wang Shang also agrees that it can't be just a coincidence. As he remembered, most people specifically came to Kong Yi's diner to discreetly take pictures of the girl. Kong Yi-yo herself moved closer to Su-ye and the blonde man, and the two paid attention to her. The blonde man hesitated to answer, then Su-ye no longer asked the blonde man so politely to answer. The blonde man's face was covered in cold sweat, and he confessed that he thought the girl was promiscuous. Su-ye was infuriated by this. He thought that the blonde was lying to him. However, seeing the guy's reaction, the blonde immediately got scared and almost cried. He swore that he wasn't lying. After that, the blonde guy handed Su-ye his phone and asked him to look into his phone. Su-ye was shocked when he saw what was on the blonde man's phone. The blonde man also said that most of the pictures of the girl in the community were taken intentionally. Many speculated that Kong Yi Yao had made an agreement with her boyfriend to post pictures of her posing as a girl of easy behavior, and the photos were posted to supposedly promote the diner. It turns out that Kong Yi Yao allegedly created a post in the community. She revealed that her uncle opened the Kong Ki diner. Recently, the diner had been doing poorly, and so she requested that men come to the establishment and support her by playing a fun game. The girl allegedly said that they should visit the diner, take a picture of it, and post it in the community. She should choose the 3 people with the best photos who would score 5 stars, and she would give them a secret prize. The rules of the game were these. Rule 1. Don't try to talk to her as she must live a normal life. Rule 2. Don't let her recognize that the men were from the wolf community. After all, if she figures it out, the man is out of the game. And Rule 3. Don't touch the girl. People in the comments were excited about this kind of game. Blonde continued that the girl posted the address of the diner and invited everyone to play this game with her. If you leave a photo in the comments and get 5 stars, she will randomly pick 2 people. Initially, the blonde had made a mistake, and in fact he later remembered that 3 people would be chosen. Su Ye got tired of hearing such things and slammed the guy's face against the pavement. Su Ye wondered the girl's opinion whether he should let them go or not. Wang Shang is against such an idea. He is unwilling to let the men go because they are criminals. Su Ye then calls Wang Shang over to him and whispers to him that in such a situation, it is better for them to keep quiet. After swallowing her pride and hearing all these disgusting things, the girl made her choice. Su Ye had to let the men go. He even stated that if he saw them again, he would send them to jail. After that, the girl approached Su Ye and decided to ask him if she really looked like a girl of easy behavior. Su Ye was surprised that out of everything she heard, the girl latched onto these very words. She was shaking, and based on all this, she thought that Su Ye had the same opinion of her. Su Ye tried to justify himself and that he didn't think so at all. However, the girl found this hard to believe, so she walked towards home frustrated. Su Ye realized that he couldn't just stop and change the girl's mind, and it was unlikely that she would believe his words. Suddenly, a powerful wind sounded behind the girl. A gust of wind blew directly toward the fugitives who had been let go earlier. In an instant, the men were back with the help of the wind back to them. The blonde man even thought that it was a heavenly punishment. After that, the men fell right in front of the girl, who was in complete shock. From such a blow against the pavement, the men lost consciousness, which was not surprising. The girl abruptly turned around to look at what had happened. There was still a small pour of wind in Su Ye's hands. He immediately apologized to the girl for misbehaving, and Su Ye has an important conversation with his girl that had to be postponed because of the showdown. Finally, after 3 chapters, the author went back to the original story. Kong Yi Yao was still in a state of shock. Did the guy in front of her really cause this hurricane? She couldn't believe that a normal wind would have blown this strong. Stepping on the blonde guy with his foot, Wang Shang declares with full confidence that his friend used magic. Wang Shang declares to the girl that he sees talent in her and invites her to join them, and then they will teach her more than just such skills. Su Ye immediately takes his friend aside and notes that he sounds like some kind of con artist. Su Ye turns to the girl and informs her with a smile that it was a joke. He asks the girl not to think about those words. Kong Yi Yao was a little upset after saying this because the invitation to work was also a joke. Su Ye noticed this change in the girl and emotionally grabbed her shoulders and tried to convince her that it was not a joke. He also asked the girl to join them. Thus, Su Ye found himself too close to Kong Yi Yao, and the girl's face turned red. After being so close to the girl, Su Ye panicked and let the girl go. He apologized to the girl for grabbing her and that he was just worried. Kong Yi Yao smiled for the first time all evening. The girl was amused by the boy's embarrassment. These words made the guy's face turn even more red. After that, they even laughed heartily. Suddenly, the girl grabbed her phone and announced that she was late for a meeting. Su Ye offers to walk the girl to the place since it's already late, or else she might meet bad guys again on the way. The girl agrees to the gesture. Wang Xiang decides to stay and wait for the police to arrive. After that, the guy went to see the girl off. Their walk was as awkward as possible, and Su Ye tried to think of ways to defuse the situation. Suddenly, the girl wanted to say something. Su Ye was even surprised that the girl spoke first. Turning to face the guy, Kong Yi Yao asks him how much she can earn per month. Su Ye immediately admits that he hasn't thought about these questions yet, so he asks the girl how much she would like to earn. A little embarrassed, Kong Yi Yao tries to find out if she can get 50,000. Suye is just shocked when he hears about 50,000. Anyone would be shocked here. 50,000 yuan is not a small amount of money. The girl, seeing Suye's reaction, immediately became embarrassed. Kong Yi-yo apologizes. She realizes that after dropping out of school and with the experience of a waitress, asking for a salary of 50,000 is too brazen. Suye wonders why a girl would want such a large sum of money. Kong Yi-yo confesses that when she was in high school, her parents had an accident. Her mom died in the accident, and her father was left disabled after the accident. After that, he understandably lost his job, but he has organ injuries and needs expensive treatment. Suye felt sorry for the girl. Because of all these problems, the girl had to quit her studies. Suye even apologizes to the girl for bringing it up and reminding her of what happened. Suddenly, Kong Yi-yo turned around and lit up Suye with the purest and most sincere smile. She also informed him that it is all in the past. Suye is too sorry, so he tells the girl that he will think about her salary. Suye himself apologizes to his friend in his heart because he is their wallet and he will have to splurge. Suye once again asks for the girl to work with them. Kong Yi-yo even blushed and apologized because she is asking for such a high salary and she doesn't even know what duties she will be doing yet. She thinks that she is very difficult to work with. Suye assures the girl that it's not a problem at all. Suye realizes that this is not a problem only because he has a future world's strongest healer in front of him, whom everyone will serve and shower her with gold. While Suye and Kong Yi-yo continued their walk, a message arrived on Suye's phone. Wang Shang had gotten hold of the link to the community and decided that they should take a look to see if there was anything useful there. He also sent Suye the link. The guy thought about it and it really interested the girl, and she asked him what was wrong. Suye immediately confesses that Wang Zhang sent him the link to the community. Suye decided to see what's there, of course to find some leads on the culprit. Suye asks the girl if she has seen the guys she met earlier before. Kong Yi-yo saw them for the first time. After that, the guy clicked on the link. Suye was greatly surprised that there were a huge number of pictures of the girl in the community. Suye decided to ask the girl in case she would recognize something from it. He wondered where the photos were taken. Kong Yi-yo immediately recognized the place. After all, it was her room. She was too surprised by this turn. She's not like us readers who guessed everything back when the blonde guy showed the community on his phone and what it said. The photos had the same background everywhere, so it's definitely the girl's room. Suye suspects it's someone he knows since it was taken in the bedroom. He immediately asks the girl if her family rents out the apartment. Kong Yi-yo confesses that they don't rent out the apartment because she herself doesn't live in her own house, but in her uncle's house. Finally, after saying that, Suye starts to realize what's going on. He wonders how this happened. Kong Yi-yo then tells him that because of her work, she rarely visits home. She has been spending a lot of time at her uncle's house. The guy continues to press the girl with questions and wonders who her uncle is. It seems that the girl herself has started to realize everything. Suddenly, as if out of nowhere, a rat ran out. The girl was so frightened by it that Suye even wondered what happened. Kong Ji notes that she saw the rat run through. Even the guy was surprised that there was more than one rat. A lot of rats came out of nowhere, scared of something or someone. At the same instant, a man came up behind them. It was the girl's uncle. The pervert was suddenly surprised that some guy was questioning his good relationship. The man became indignant as to why the girl was standing next to some guy, and did she really not want to go home? The uncle grabbed the girl's arm. He was indignant that when he asked the girl what she was going to do in the evening, she did not answer him, but went out with some guy. The girl defends the guy and admits that he is not like that, and that he is her friend. This even amused the pervert. The uncle reminds her that has the girl forgotten what her friends did in high school? In the early days of high school, you all get along just fine. She made friends of her own in high school, just fine. However, after a guy her friend liked gave a love letter to her, the friend freaked out and decided to get back at the girl. Her uncle points out that these friends will start doing such things because of any little thing. And after that, her friends turned their backs on the girl. On the school desk of Kong Yi-yo began to appear death wishes, as well as all sorts of insults. All year long, the girls have been bullying Kong Yi-yo. The uncle is outraged that the girl has a new so-called friend. He thinks he's a parent, and that he's worried about her, or he's worried about his business, or his meeting with the cops. The uncle complains that the girl is sure to be fooled again at work. He's outraged because the girl hasn't thought about what she'll do after she's betrayed again. The uncle decided to teach the impudent man a lesson and put his hand on his head. However, this was a big mistake, for Suye immediately grabs the man's hand. Suye notices that the man is apparently talking about himself. Uncle doesn't understand what he is talking about. After grabbing just one finger, Suye sits the man on the ground. The uncle panics and asks the guy to let him go. When Suye let go of the man's finger, the man fell to the ground by inertia. After that, Suye took the phone and approached the man. He told the man to repent and confess that he took the pictures. At the same instant they were interrupted, a shaking started. It was as if an earthquake had started. There was a reason the rats were running away. A monstrous, devil-like energy began to materialize and pour out in the air. Suye immediately realized that it looked like a portal was appearing in front of him. The gusts of wind were pushing people away like this. The portal materialized, and a bony hand with long claws appeared in the same second. Suye was surprised. After all, these were elite rank sirens. What would Suye do with these elite monsters that he didn't expect? Suye didn't understand what was going on and why the monster appeared right now. He was shocked that an elite rank monster had appeared from the portal. Uncle, as soon as he saw the monster, he first fell into a stupor from fright, and then he completely forgot about the girl and rushed to run away. After landing on the ground, the monster let out a terrifying roar. The uncle and the girl shuddered at that growl. The girl even got tears in her eyes. As if the monster had found the target it had come for, it lightning fast attacked Kong Yi Yao. However, Suye also had time to react and stood up to defend the girl, managing to repel the monster's attack. He told the girl to run away immediately. The monster felt no fear and attacked the guy with all its might. After barely dodging the monster's attack, Suye noticed that the monster was incredibly fast. Suye realizes that because of the monster's monstrous speed, he won't be able to escape from this monster. He has no other option but to fight the monster face to face. Realizing that things are difficult, Suye decides to call out to Kong Yi Yao. As soon as she hears him, the guy informs her that now is the time for the girl to awaken. Kong Yi Yao can't understand what the guy's request means. She doesn't understand what she can do in a situation like this. Standing right in front of the monster, Suye realizes that the girl might find the guy's words strange, but now was not the time to discuss such things. Suye tells her that awakening is when a person with an awakening talent first unleashes magic and defines their profession. He asks the girl to pay attention to what is happening in front of her eyes and that maybe it will help the girl get her understanding of magic faster. Kong Yi Yao is shocked and can't fully believe it. Maybe she thought that she was some kind of urban lunatic in front of her. Suye, on the other hand, believes that the girl will be able to do it even if she fails this time. The girl even blushed. Finally, someone believed in the girl that she could do it. However, she bit her lip and didn't know what to do. Suye rushed towards the monster, hoping for the girl's support, and also he needed to defeat the monster by any means necessary. The monster swung his huge right arm, causing the guy to dodge that blow. After slipping under the blow of the monster's right arm, the guy jumped up right on top of the monster's head. He grabbed onto the monster and then tried to damage the monster with a powerful leg kick. After that, Suye jumped off the monster's head. Suye wondered if he was able to deal damage to this monster. However, the dust from the impact had yet to settle before the monster jumped out of it. A lightning bolt appeared in Suye's hand. He noted magic was like breathing, so it was necessary to gather the magic element together. After that, it was necessary to let the element flow out as if exhaling. Saying this, Suye attacked the monster with the lightning that was in his left hand. The entire body was enveloped by magic, as if the monster was struck by the lightning itself and started wriggling in pain. Kong Yi Yao trembled in fear and tried to use magic that she did not possess. However, she realized that her attempt failed. Her confidence immediately shattered because she already knew that she wouldn't succeed. Suye reassures her since this is her first attempt, so he suggests the girl to take her time. Suye expected this since this is a healing magic. The awakening is slower than other classes. There was one aspect that seemed suspicious to the guy. He didn't understand why his battle was going so easily. He felt as if the monster in front of him wasn't an elite rank monster, as the monster didn't show any abilities for that level. The monster survived even after this attack and rushed towards the guy again. He decided that it didn't matter at the moment and needed to destroy the monster while it was weakened. At the same moment, the monster let out a terrifying roar and a frightening aura enveloped everything around it. Su-ye did not expect that the monster was capable of such an attack. Su-ye felt as if he was enveloped by a fiery aura. A girl who was calling his name appeared in front of his eyes. The blonde girl didn't understand why Su-ye looked so stunned. The guy felt as if he had been hit on the head. He recognized the girl, for in front of him was Hong Yu. She came too close to the guy as if she wanted to kiss him and asked the guy to be quiet. She let the guy do whatever he wanted, causing the guy's face to turn red. Su-ye's defenses weakened and his bad dreams seemed to end, and he succumbed to the girl's embrace, allowing her to kiss him. However, in reality, Su-ye was still in front of the monster's mouth and tried to kiss it. In an instant, the girl he couldn't save and the way she was destroyed by that terrible monster appeared before his eyes. In the same instant, the guy opened his eyes. At the very last moment, he managed to dodge the monster's deadly kiss. The guy was quite dissatisfied with what he had just seen, plus the monster was able to wound him in the arm. Su-ye realized that this monster was a territorial-type monster. That was why the monster had a rather weak fighting ability. The monster did not hesitate and attacked the injured guy again, who managed to dodge the attack. Su-ye was greatly surprised as the monster's speed became much faster than before. At the same moment, the monster's attack was able to catch up with the guy, leaving many lacerations on the guy. Only now did Su-ye realize that it wasn't the monster that had become faster, but the speed of the monster itself had slowed down considerably. His body felt too heavy to him. He noticed that the curse skill was causing too much trouble. Suddenly, he heard a scream and turned around. The uncle was pouncing on the girl who didn't understand what the uncle was even doing. Uncle asks that the girl understand his feelings for her. So he asks that Kong Yi Yao reciprocate his feelings and he will give the girl money. The girl thought that her uncle is acting very strange. The guy noticed that even the girl's uncle appeared to be affected by this curse. The monster once again tried to attack everyone with its mental attack, and so it let out a monstrous roar. Su-ye recoiled with this mental attack, which he disliked very much. Uncle kept trying to kiss his niece, who didn't want the kiss. In essence, this mental attack was revealing hidden desires. In the uncle's case, such an attack removed the last internal barrier that was left in him, and he stopped restraining himself. The man confesses that he always wanted to take pictures of the girl while she was awake. Finally, the girl had an epiphany and realized that her uncle had taken all those nasty pictures. The uncle even brags that he has very good photography skills. The girl stopped restraining herself and called her uncle disgusting. She even reminded him that she was her uncle's niece. After that, Kong Yi Yao struck her knee between the man's legs in anger. She couldn't believe that her uncle was such an incredible pervert. The man managed to catch the girl's knee strike with his left hand. The uncle pointed out that no one could save the girl anymore. The man even licked his lips, for the girl would no longer be able to be saved by her father. The girl was incredibly pissed off when the uncle mentioned her father. The father was so kind and always protected his daughter. She wondered in anger what her uncle wanted to say with those words. She remembered how one day she came in and her father was sitting at the table sleeping. The girl was scared at first that something was wrong, but her father was just sleeping. Kong Yi Yao covered her father with a blanket so he wouldn't get sick in his sleep. Just as she was about to quietly sneak into the room, her father called out to her. Standing with a glass of milk, the father wondered if his daughter had already had time to eat dinner. Kong Yi Yao smiled and said that it was too late and she didn't want to eat at this hour. The father thinks that it is not good to go to bed on an empty stomach, so he asked his daughter to drink at least a glass of milk that was in his hand. The girl even laughed, for she drinks milk almost every day. She couldn't hide her smile as she looked at the glass of milk. It was in such interesting things that a father's concern for his daughter was manifested. The uncle did not understand the question. He notes that the girl's father helped him out. The uncle says that the girl's father helped him because he could not do it all by himself. All of this could only be done thanks to the girl's father, who helped him and also did not interfere with him. The girl's tears could not stop and kept coming. At this very moment, the girl's emotions reached a new level, and the girl seemed to glow with an impressive aura. Even her eyes were sparkling. She grabbed her uncle's head with her hands and told him not to insult her father. In the heat of their battle, Su-ye also managed to notice the change in the girl who was holding her uncle's head. After dodging another monster attack, he was surprised that the girl was actually able to awaken earlier than in his previous life. Kong Yi Yao was still enraged. Even the uncle seemed to have broken free from the monster's psychological attack and was incredibly frightened. He was shaking, cold sweat broke out on his face. Suye is too righteous a guy. He asks the girl to stop before she kills her uncle. The monster was as if mesmerized by the girl when it saw the girl's abilities and immediately rushed towards her, hoping to eat her. However, at that moment, Suye appeared in front of the monster's mouth and counterattacked the monster with his magic. Suye notices that just killing Uncle is not the answer, and there are many other ways to deal with Uncle. Kong Yi Yao was like being trapped in a fire trap. She didn't understand why he decided to set himself on fire. Suddenly, Suye appeared with a large lantern in his hands. He illuminated the darkness lurking in the girl's heart. He notes that the girl has a much brighter future. Suye asks that the girl think about herself, and that she not get her hands dirty because of a lowlife like her uncle. However, a monster suddenly appeared and interrupted their conversation. He didn't wait for the people to have a good talk. He wasn't going to wait for them to gather their strength and finish him off. The monster pierced the guy's stomach from the back with its tentacle while he was talking to the girl. After that, the monster used its tentacles to pull the guy into its mouth and was about to eat him. Suye was upset. He had foolishly exposed himself to the attack and could die in the monster's mouth. He lived 10 years in the apocalypse, but died in such a place after his rebirth. He found it too amusing and at the same time disappointing. Suddenly, everything around him glowed with a green light, and Suye's mortal wound began to heal at an incredible speed. Suye looked in front of him and noticed that Kong Yi Yao was on some subconscious level able to use her abilities for the first time. The girl's entire body was enveloped in a green aura. The monster's mouth was about to close, thus swallowing the guy, but Suye was able to realize the situation in time and blocked the monster's mouth from closing. Pushing off the monster's tongue, the guy jumped out of the monster's mouth. He was surprised that the regeneration was so incredible and his wound had healed. He also noticed that the debuff the monster had put on him was also gone. He turned around and looked at Kong Yi Yao, who was still continuing to treat the guy, with a smile. Suye was happy that he could fight again, thanks to Kong Yi Yao. He even decided to use the unique battle strategy that belonged to Kong Yi Yao's guild. Suye activated his battle magic once again, concentrating it in his fists, and then asked the girl to continue his continuous healing. After activating his iron fists with magic, the guy rushed to attack the monster. The St. Palace Knights Guild is the only guild that uses awakened healers as their primary combat method. The St. Palace Knights Guild is also the only guild that immediately rushes into battle as soon as it starts. And this is for a reason, as they have Kong Yi Yao behind them. Kong Yi Yao possesses an incredible healing technique called high-speed regeneration. This technique allows a person's condition to be maintained virtually unharmed. Suye was glad to have such an ally on his side. He even stopped dodging the monster's attacks and charged at it head-on. With such support from Kong Yi Yao, all he had to do was to damage the enemy. The monster had taken an impressive amount of damage and was splattered with blood, but it was still able to fight. Suye came close to the monster, but the monster refused to give up and attacked the guy again. However, this time Kong Yi Yao was on the guy's side with his frightening healing technique. The monster only managed to slow the guy down slightly, although earlier this attack could have been fatal. The monster didn't give the guy time to think either, but Suye was faster and attacked the monster directly into its mouth using his unique earth-pierce throw technique. The monster howled in pain as it was its most vulnerable spot, and the guy successfully landed on the ground. This attack was fatal to the monster, so it collapsed to the ground, causing a giant cloud of dust. Suddenly, a man who was using crutches to move around appeared behind the back of the girl and the guy. This man was Kong Yi Yao's father. He immediately grabbed his daughter's shoulders and asked if she was all right. Suye now realized that the girl was going to meet her father today. However, the girl immediately pushed her father away and had a negative attitude towards him. The father could not understand why his daughter did this to him. Suddenly, the father noticed that the girl's uncle was also here and was lying unconscious on the ground. He immediately realized that the girl had found out everything about the uncle and the father, doing all these disgusting things. There was a wall between father and daughter. This wall could not be broken down or bypassed. The father only looked at his daughter's back with sadness. The father tried to stop his daughter. He made excuses that the girl had misunderstood everything and that the uncle had obviously said something wrong. He called out to his daughter and asked her to wait for him. It didn't help, and then the image of the girl's father collapsed completely. The father became furious and ordered his daughter to stop immediately. The father became furious and stated that his daughter was just like her mother. He stated that since he started having business problems 8 years ago, the girl's mother immediately started thinking about leaving him. One day, the woman received a text message on her cell phone. The husband immediately asked his wife why she didn't respond to the message she received. Looking out the car window, the wife coldly informed that she simply did not want to respond to the message. The man demanded his wife's cell phone to help her respond. The wife was furious. She did not understand what her husband was doing. It was at this point that the accident happened in which the parents crashed into a truck. The father was furious because now his daughter was going to run away from him too. It's like the father himself didn't realize or acknowledge the disgusting things he had done to his daughter, and so he blamed her for everything and not himself. The father believes that everything he did was right because his daughter owes him for bringing her into the world because of him. He believes that his daughter should repay her debt to her mother. The poor girl was simply destroyed by such words. What a lowlife she was living under the same roof. She had cared so much for her father and had not spared herself, and her father had turned out to be just a disgusting lowlife. She turned around to look at her father. That look made her father so scared that he immediately fell to the ground. He was frightened and wondered what his daughter was trying to accomplish. The daughter grabbed her father's head with both hands, just as she had grabbed her uncle's earlier. The man was covered in cold sweat from this action of his daughter. Su-ye couldn't stand aside and once again tried to stop the girl from doing such a horrible act. The father tried to break free from his daughter's hands and tried to find out what the daughter was trying to do. Green energy began to emanate from the girl's hands. The man wailed. He asked his daughter not to come any closer to him. Kong Yi Yao was crying. She couldn't hold back her tears. Everything she thought about her father turned out to be a lie, and he turned out to be even worse than others. Suddenly the man felt a surge of strength, and he noticed that his legs were now fine. He was beyond happy that his leg was fine and had recovered. Now he didn't need crutches anymore. He was so happy because his daughter's ability had helped his legs heal. He even felt that it could bring him an incredible amount of money. He demanded his daughter to stop, as she had nowhere else to go anyway. He once again tells his daughter to stop. His daughter is unfamiliar with places outside the house, so he asks her to come home with him. After saying this, he grabs his daughter's hand. Kong Yi Yao easily pushed the man away. She declared that from today, she has nothing to do with the man. The man wanted to bring his daughter home and do all his dirty things further, but the girl showed her strength and the man was scared, his face covered with cold sweat. The man was so frightened at the mere sight of his daughter that he fell to the ground and wrapped his arms around his head. Kong Yi Yao was not going to look at this lowlife anymore and turned to Su-ye. The girl still couldn't stop her tears. She had nowhere else to go, so she asked Su-ye if he still needed her for work. Su-ye notes that he still needs her. The coming dawn only marked that the girl had a great future ahead of her. Soon, police officers arrived at the scene of the battle with the monster. They fenced the entire area around the monster's body, and one officer was recording all the information. Suddenly, someone called out to the officer and asked the officer if there were any leads on the case. It turned out to be Hong Yu. The officer notices that just like last time in Jiang City School, the monster was destroyed by the same method. The officer wonders what Captain Hong Yu of Team Supernatural thinks about this. The protagonist's future girlfriend shows up, and it seems that a team of people with abilities already exists. At this point, this whole story ends. The further development of the story is unknown. There are no more chapters of this manhwa. The author ended it like this. A small digression from the plot that not many people are interested in. I'm not surprised at all that this manhwa ended so quickly. The author apparently decided that the initial 3 chapters did a great job of immersing us in the story, which means we need to slow the story down. Suddenly the story, which was about monsters and preparations for the monster invasion, turned into a story about some perverts, fights with hooligans, police and so on. It's like it's just a regular high school manhwa. 3 chapters about monsters, then 5 chapters about perverts, diluting it a bit with a few frames about monsters and powers, and kind of saying that this isn't a story about perverts after all. The author has really poorly thought out the manhwa in this regard. I'm willing to watch or read any slow-paced and gradually swirling story, but here it's as if the genre has been switched. What did you guys think of this manhwa? Share your opinion, especially if you've read it in full. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you would like to see a sequel, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your wishes in the comments. You can also subscribe to Telegram to know about new videos. Bye everybody.